What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we're going to go over today Fallout 76 because there is some interesting information going around, and after I posted on Twitter about this information, I had a lot of people reach out to me about Fallout 76 possibly becoming free to play. We're going to talk a bit about that, which you might as well follow me on Twitter at this point if you're not, because it sounds like there's some interesting stuff coming up as we get closer at Nintendo Investors Meeting, with a lot of rumors flying around, and who knows, maybe there's a Nintendo event, Nintendo Nindies or something that's rumored to happen at some point in time soon, so we'll see what happens going into that investors briefing. There's a lot of stuff going on. Also, we're going to talk a bit about a weird trademark by Square Enix. Actually, maybe it's not that weird because it kind of shows us the direction they're going and how successful Octopath Traveler must have been. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, hit the like button. It does help out. We're going to start today with Quake 2. Yeah, Quake 2. I know, it sounds weird to say that, but yes, Quake 2 from way back in the day on the old Windows computers that you may have played has actually got some newfound life. As you can see here, this is Quake 2, but it's running with real-time path tracing using RTX. This was actually posted by Christoph Schied, and right away you can see the biggest difference, obviously, is the much improved lighting, and it really is a night and day difference. So if you play this, you can technically use, as it is something you can download and play on your computer, you can play it, and it is, of course, designed for RTX-enabled cards. So obviously, if you have something like a 2070 or 2080 or 2080 Ti, you can start playing this for yourself and try it out. And yeah, massive improvement. This is something you can definitely see a massive difference for, as opposed to some people maybe not seeing ray tracing as much. With the differences, this is something they applied, and it looks pretty cool. Now, I'm wondering who's going to be the first person to put this on something like Half-Life 2, because we, of course, already have the deep learning upscaling for textures, add-ins, the RTX features and everything, and we could see some of the coolest, some of the best looking remasters for old games that companies don't have to do. Just like people can just modify and do these, and it seems like they come together pretty well. We also had a pretty big event take place for anyone who's really into the history of games, whether it's any of the companies, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sega even. But the big thing here is we actually had a set of, or at least a CD dumped to the internet, and it's not something we've seen because it's a very rare disc. And actually, as you're seeing the tweet here that was made by Forest of Illusion, this is the previously undumped Nintendo Digetin, and it is a CD-ROM for Windows from 1998, and it's finally been uploaded. And what this could be is some serious information from the, I would say, NES up to Nintendo 64 era, and according to Forest of Illusion, this has staff interviews, and there is even a 111-page long interview with Miyamoto himself. This is insane to hear about this, because there could be some serious information on this disc that we've never heard about. Now, here's the thing, it also has to be translated, so that's something that's also going on right now, and you imagine 111 pages. It's going to take a little bit of time to translate, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to be all over this trying to get this thing translated. I'm sure there's some pretty cool little bits of information thrown in there, and we'll see what comes out from this, whether it's, I don't know, maybe a prototype of a game, maybe a reason they went in a certain direction for an older game, or what even inspired them. It's going to be interesting to hear about. We also did get the release date for Yakuza Kiwami on the PC. Sega did one of their weird marketing things again, where they technically post it, but it's very well hidden. They actually posted a video on the Steam page for Yakuza Kiwami, and in the very last frame of that video was the release date. Sega's doing some weird things out here, I'll admit that. It's very odd. It works. It's very interesting to see because it's kind of these cryptic messages. February 19th, though. So if you've been waiting since last E3 when they said they were bringing over Yakuza 0, they also said Valkyria Chronicles 4, and here we are now with Yakuza Kiwami. There you go, February 19th. People were really excited. Of course, it's a remake of the original Yakuza on the PS2, and maybe you were looking to play it with higher frame rates, better resolutions, and everything. There you go. It is coming February 19th to the PC, and that is, of course, on Steam, so you can pick it up there. And while I wasn't a massive fan of Travis Strikes Again, I did want people to buy it, of course, to work to fund No More Heroes 3, and I do like that they appear to be having some sustained support, even outside of that Season Pass. The Season Pass, of course, comes with the physical copy if you bought it, which we assume is going to be maybe new levels, new bosses, new shirts, I assume, because they're already talking about that. However, it looks like they did also add New Game Plus, as you're seeing here in a tweet from Grasshopper, where they talk about version 1.0.1 update, and that'll actually allow you to start the game back up after you've beaten it, of course, and it'll let you carry over all of your skills and character levels to New Game with New Game Plus mode, and new bonus t-shirts have also been added. So again, wasn't a massive fan of it. I played it, I beat it, and hey, all right, I'll go back through. I'll try New Game Plus just to see, and of course we'll see the new shirts and everything. And I'm mostly looking forward to see if they can add anything really cool with that season pass, but we'll see. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start with Fallout 76 and the possibility of it going free to play. And this was a weird situation to see unfold. Now, the full source of this entire story comes from YouTube channel The Quartering, where he says he's had two sources contact him from EB Games Australia that they were going to be pulling Fallout 76 from their retail shelves. And that does tend to happen if there is a recall from the manufacturer, or in this case Bethesda, and they want to pull these games from shelves if they are going free to play. And that is actually what he came to the conclusion of. They would do this if they were going free to play. And the only other time I've ever seen copies of games get pulled, if there was an issue with the rating. Like if let's say the game came out as teen, but something came up in mods or something and they had to make it mature rating. If you remember, we saw it with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where they had that modification, the hot coffee mod. They have to start pulling it and put a new one out. That's the only time I've ever really seen these pulled, if it's not something with a reason for like money having to be refunded or anything, whether it's like a free-to-play announcement. Now, there is a possibility, because it's EB Games Australia, I wouldn't put it past Australia, just as something else to think about, that there is an issue with the rating and they have to play around with it. I don't know completely on that, but it is an interesting situation when it comes to it possibly becoming free to play, because that would annoy a lot of people. I assume the Power Armor Edition people who paid $200 would be really mad, although they didn't really even get a disc, right? They just got a piece of cardboard anyway. But still, they spent a lot of money on that, and then, oh, it's free to play. Thanks for being a beta tester and paying us to be a beta tester. Yeah, that would sting a bit. But I did put this out on Twitter, and several people contacted me. Now, I don't know if you want your information out there or anything because you're employees at these places, but I will say several people contacted me from several different stores, whether it's Best Buy, GameStop, Walmart, and I can also say myself, I did check Walmart around here, I called a GameStop and I called a Best Buy, and they all still have Fallout 76 in stock, at least for now, with varying degrees of pricing. I think the cheapest one I found was like $30, so it's not like it's even full price anyway. We talked about that, they slashed the prices. But other people reached out to me saying that it is indeed in stock at pretty much all stores, at least in the US. Now, others did mention to me that some other places, like I believe Market Media, that sells in Germany, Europe, basically everywhere in Europe pretty much, is actually pretty much giving the game away with controllers and stuff, and systems. So they're just giving the game away at this point anyway. And then others did message me back. Someone actually messaged me about GameStop and that they actually had to send back about 100 copies in the first week because they just didn't need them. Like, no one's buying the game, so we're sending these copies back, I guess. It's interesting to see that. It's a weird situation with Fallout 76. I really wanted to bring this up just in case there is the situation that you were thinking about buying it, because that would definitely sting if you bought it and then like a week later it's free to play. But I would at least see if any other information comes out. You know, if nothing else does, then it's possible this could be for a different reason outside of a free-to-play change. But I also want to bring this up. This isn't the first time this would happen, if it does happen, because I was a part of the last time it happened. Do you remember DC Universe? Also, there's probably been other examples too. But DC Universe was a game I bought for $50, and it went free to play. And the way they handled that, while it's not as obviously high profile as something like we see with Fallout 76, because that's like been a catastrophe at this point, the way they handled that was anyone who had bought it, you didn't get a refund. You actually got like an account that was privileged more than a free-to-play account that was heavily restricted with inventory and ability to hold X amount of money and character slots. You basically had twice what the free-to-play person had. So they gave you some benefits, but not everything that a subscription user would have. And you know what? Maybe that's what Bethesda's looking at. They're like, all right, free-to-play, maybe the person who bought it would get a tiered free-to-play account, and then it's a subscription service. I don't know. It's a weird situation. At least at this time, nothing's confirmed, and we're kind of going off of a few sources that say that's being pulled in Australia. But we'll see what happens going forward. I'll keep you guys updated if anything major happens, especially if there's an announcement from Bethesda. Next up, let's talk about an interesting trademark from Square, and it does kind of show us the direction that they might be going with, maybe with some other remakes, or maybe even another game, a sequel even, because in Europe, they've actually trademarked the phrase HD-2D and HD-2D. Yeah, and that is how they describe their engine, or at least their look, because the engine's Unreal Engine 4, obviously, but their look for Octopath Traveler, which makes me think that, oh, okay, maybe they don't want anyone else to use that phrase to describe any of their games, because I'm sure plenty of companies saw what Square did with Unreal Engine to make Octopath Traveler, and I'm sure it was very appealing or compelling to them anyway to try to replicate that. Well, they wanted to lock that down, at least in Europe. They're not locking down the look or the feature set or anything like that. They're just locking down the phrase HD-2D, probably because maybe they want to throw it on the back of a box to market it. Maybe they want to use it in a commercial or advertising. They're not trying to block anyone else from using this style of visuals, but the fact that they're going this far makes me think we're going to see it again. And that's actually really exciting because I think they can build on it. I think it can look better. I think it can run better. I think there's a lot of stuff they can do with just more creative thoughts in it. And of course, that means that they're probably not done with Octopath Traveler, as we would assume. They might even maybe take older games like those Bravely Default series, or maybe they'll get real crazy and go get a Final Fantasy and drop it in this style. I do see a lot of different things they could do with this style of visuals, and of course, using it with an RPG makes the most sense, and I would like to see them continue using it. I think it worked great on the Switch, and the fact that, again, that they're trademark, it means we'll probably see it again. So let me know what games you'd like to see thrown into HD-2D, as they're calling it, for their Unreal Engine 4 makeup here, and come up with some ideas, because I think we're going to see some cool stuff from Square, and I think it's going to be in this HD-2D engine that they keep kind of naming and have now trademarked. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the UK sales charts, as Ace Combat 7 did show up in the UK sales charts, and it actually broke the franchise record for sales in the UK for first week, which is great because I like that series a lot, and this game is probably one of the best in the series. It really is that good. Go listen to the soundtrack, by the way, if you don't believe me. Awesome music. But believe it or not, it still wasn't enough to top the New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which is a title that I'll never get used to having to say because it takes forever to say, but it wasn't actually enough to top that, and we're actually going to look at the top 10 as you're seeing here. Starting, yes, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe number 1, Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown at number 2, Red Dead Redemption 2 at 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 at 4, FIFA 19, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Grand Theft Auto 5, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, and then the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. And despite Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe dropping 43%, it was still enough to take the top spot. Now, of course, we are in January, in the beginning of January-ish, where it's kind of slower, and it's going to really pick up in next week's sales charts when we see Resident Evil 2 Remake appear. And what's interesting is Resident Evil 7 actually jumped up in the charts leading up to Resident Evil 2. Actually jumped up to number 28. So there's definitely some Resident Evil fever going on right now. People are excited. I'm excited. I'm ready to play this on Friday. So I expect Resident Evil 2 obviously to top the charts going into next week. And then we'll get into Kingdom Hearts and we'll see it. I'm not even sure if I'm trying to figure out how well it's actually going to do in the UK. It's going to do really well in Japan. I think it'll do fairly well in the MPDs as well. The UK is the weird one. I don't really know how well it's going to do there. Either way, though, good stuff there from Ace Combat. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe continues to surprise. Yeah, I think that game is going to outsell its Wii U counterpart without too much trouble. It's Mario. I mean, it's going to sell. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talk about, whether it is Fallout 76 and the possibility of it going free to play. Let me know if you're someone who bought it, if that would really annoy you, because I feel like it's going to annoy a lot of people if they do that. Although, it might be the only way to really, I don't want to say save it, but definitely help it. It needs something, and going free to play would definitely get some curious gamers to try it out. Also, let me know what you think about Square and their trademark of the HD-2D. Are you excited to hear that there could be some more Octopath Traveler style games coming? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.